Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
PD Beats here from Popternative, speaking to Pablo and Timothy about Candy, which is premiering May 9th on Hulu. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for having us.
No, absolutely. Pablo, I'm always interested in this because I always love when it's a show that takes place in another era in the 80s. You have to go back in time. As a storyteller, what's the mindset transporting back into the 80s, specifically with this show?
Well, when you're dealing with different time periods, I think a lot of that can mostly, I'd say the biggest part of it becomes aesthetic, right? So it's about talking with your costume designer, talking with your hair and makeup designers about what the look is. You want to establish the look. There's also, of course, a psychological component in terms of what was happening in the time period, but even more so what the community was like. And in this one, it's particularly relevant because this is a very Christian community, church-going, and suburban Dallas, So it's very important time and place to sort of investigate all those things and what they mean psychologically for us as characters and what those characters looked like. So that was kind of the process for me.
And this is just one of the, I agree with everything that Pablo said. And there was something that I know our script supervisor helped me with out a lot, and that is in some of my attempts to make dialogue seem conversational, I ended up putting in more modern vernaculars. Like I'd throw in a man or every would just kind of slip out, and she would just remind me of people just didn't say that at that point, or they wouldn't have said that here. So there was sort of everything from the costuming to the hairstyling to the production design, but it also even came into the general vernacular.
No, absolutely. And Timothy, before we wrap up as well, we can't escape true crime stories. They're everywhere. You know what I mean? I feel like I hear about one all the time now. For knowing that they're kind of around a lot and people have information, I'm just curious for this one specifically, did you have any prior knowledge to this story, the Candy specifically, or did you go in completely fresh and have to do research?
I didn't know anything about this one, and I actually avoided researching it until I had read all the scripts, because I didn't know. I wanted this to see how the story laid out just from the scripts. But I recently have spoken to some friends who grew up in the Dallas area, and everybody that they know, all of their families, they know all the details of this story. But I was completely blind to it.
Yeah, same. I didn't know of it until I came to it through this, and Robin introduced me through the scripts. But I also felt that way in the sense that we're not making a documentary; we were making a dramatization of true events. So it was important to kind of figure out our roles to the story that Robin was telling, not necessarily figure out how to play exactly these historical characters.
Absolutely. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. May 9th, Candy on Hulu. It's premiering. Thank you so much for your time. It was great chatting with you.
Thank you.
Thanks, you too.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.